Hello. Sorry, cat with a comb today. So I want to put something out there that your experience does not require an explanation. And yeah, what I mean by that is when I facilitate authentic relating workshops and things, one of the basic sort of introductory games we play is called the noticing game. People have the opportunity to share what it is that they're noticing about their experience in that present moment. And something that I notice for lots of people is that it seems really hard to simply stay at the level of experience, level of like sensation, without immediately going into sense making and story mode. And one aspect of this, I think, is happening is that this sense of like, it's not okay for me to say, like, this is my experience without justifying it, without giving the person I'm speaking to more context about it so that they understand it. And at the same time, I think there's also something going on about how people are with their own experience and their sense of, yeah, immediately wanting to jump into the rationalization of it. Yeah, that the sensation is somehow difficult to be with, or even if it's nice to be with, like it needs to be justified. It needs to have a reason behind it. And I have a little issue with this issue, and it's that, like, I mean, that response makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I think, I'm somebody who believes in the work that I've done, the research that I've done, reading sort of neuroscience. Particularly, I love Lisa Feldman-Barrett's work on how emotions are made. But it seems to me that if emotions are there to give us data, that the sense-making part of it is really important. At some point, we have to start sense-making. And at the same time, what I notice is that if I jump to rationalizing, to sense-making, for jumping to story mode too quickly, what I'm doing is not actually getting under the surface of what it is that I'm feeling, what it is I'm noticing. And so, yeah, my invitation for you, my suggestion for practice is to stay at that level of sensation, that level of noticing for a moment or two longer. And this is something that you can do with yourself, and potentially something that you can do in conversation and connection. But to stay at the level of the noticing, like, what is it that I'm feeling, whether that's like actually at the sensation level. So what are what am I doing in my body right now? Where am I moving? Where am I contracting, expanding? Where is the sensation? And then at like the emotional level, for a few moments longer, to kind of get underneath what the surface level of that is, because I think that's where we start to find the data. I think if we move into sense making and like the rationalization of our experience too quickly, justifying it in some way, we're jumping over the lily pads, as one of my teachers likes to say. There's something about like dropping into the depths and taking a few moments to be with what is before trying to find the reason, before trying to find the wisdom in it. So to really get to know it before we move on. And I think the other issue that I have with this is this sense of like noticing the way people need to justify themselves. And I just want to say stop. That you get to be here exactly as you are. You get to have the experience that you're having. It doesn't need to make sense to you. It definitely doesn't need to make sense to anybody else in that moment. That can come later. There is a sense of like, you get to have the experience that you're having, and to allow yourself to fully inhabit that, without needing to to bend or explain or contort yourself in order for somebody else to feel comfortable. I think that's partly what's happening. This sense that I often have as a recovering perfectionist, that I'm not doing this right. The experience that I'm having isn't the right one. It's confusing to me, might be confusing to the person. So how do I shape it and present it in a way that is palatable? And so what I want to say instead of, rather than justifying and explaining your experience, is to trust it. Dare to trust the rightness of your experience, that what you're going through is what you're going through, and that is the path into the wisdom. So, yeah. Please stop explaining. Please stop justifying. Don't stop revealing. Don't stop being in the process of noticing, but slow down. Yeah. You don't need to jump straight into sense making. You get to be with the experience. You get to trust the experience before it has to kind of coalesce into something that your brain, your mind can get its head around. Yeah. You get to slow down. So that's what I have for you today. I'd love to hear how you respond to this, like what your reaction, what comes up for you when I say this, to hear your experience. So please share in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.